So, I think the future of the COD franchise currently is a mixed bag of emotions, especially with Infinity Ward's next title that's rumored to be Modern Warfare 4, just based off of prior installments and people's level of enjoyment with that game. But from a personal perspective, I'd be entirely lying if I said I wasn't intrigued by each bit more and more that we learn about DMZ's seeming return, a mode that I thought and still think that could have been so much more fleshed out, and then taking the learnings of what happened in Modern Warfare 2's year of support, I like hearing about what could be. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new update for what leaks are pointing to in regards to that mode and what you should know. So drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe for more COD and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have in the community, but for now, let's get into it. So, as a sort of baseline, what is the sort of year of 2026 looking like? What appears to be coming as of that fall is Modern Warfare 4. Anything else is, I think, personally unlikely. That name Modern Warfare just draws way too much sweet revenue, and Activision has Infinity Ward kind of locked down with that. At least until that name starts to die off, it seems like they're going to have their foot on the Modern Warfare pedal for a bit. Narratively, it's looking to follow the events of Modern Warfare 3, set up by Sledgehammer and apparently keeping everything intact, including Soap's death. But also, interestingly, it will seemingly be set up by the events of Black Ops 7, if we can call it that, whatever this game is later this year, following the events then of Black Ops 2. So this new universe established with Modern Warfare 2019's soft reboot kind of meshing everything together looks something like Black Ops, Black Ops Cold War, Black Ops 6, Modern Warfare 2019, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 7, Modern Warfare 4, then outwards into like Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3 for those futuristic titles. Kind of convoluted and jumping all over the place, but that's apparently going to all see it intertwined now at this point. But as for the DMZ in particular details, this comes from an insider named Craftsy, who's a known leaker who's dropped stuff here and there, but he's provided a bit of insight into new details he heard for DMZ and COD 2026 that are pretty interesting. They include newly enhanced AI will be introduced, 12 to 16 teams of 3 each match, designated DMZ maps, major updates every 2 seasons, smaller updates every season, and mid-season, 4 maps plus a headquarters. DMZ will be a separate mode from Warzone and MP. Events will occur during matches that are crucial to survival, and 2 modes of PvE only and PvPvE. This, on top of the previous leaks that we've heard about DMZ, give a good glimpse about what DMZ 2.0 will look like, where on top of that, it's mentioned that we're going to see its own forked version of the engine that will include different mechanic sets for multiplayer and Warzone, along with then a different set for DMZ, and that the maps for DMZ will make up the ground war maps, and sections of those will be made into ground war maps as opposed to the Battle Royale map here with Warzone. So there's a decent bit of stuff we can break down here at this that I want to go into a bit more detail about. Firstly, the new AI. This, I'm imagining, is just kind of retooling what we saw with DMZ 1.0, like the bots, except for being just absurdly high in damage output, and when their shots landed at launch, they were nothing really threatening, just kind of like a nuisance. If there is new AI, I'd wager they're more formidable though. Like Marathon's AI was definitely something that you don't want to mess with, so I'd imagine it's kind of something like that, offering a bit more of actual challenge to it. 12 to 16 teams is also an interesting point of discussion here, because this one has me super curious that there's just a few variables for what we don't know that could change the way we perceive this perhaps. Like, let's take a look at the player and team counts for each of the DMZ maps that we saw in Modern Warfare 2. Building 21 was the smallest. It was 4 teams of 3, 12 players max. Koshi Complex, the sub-map within a map of Al Mazrah, that was something that again matched that on a much smaller scale, 4 teams of 3, 12 players. Ashika Island and Vondel, though, both were at launch 6 teams of 3, so 18 players, but I'm pretty sure Ashika Island actually got upped to 7 teams of 3, so 21 players if I'm not mistaken. And then Al Mazrah was 22 squads of 3, so upwards of 66 players, plus all the AI spread out across that world of Al Mazrah. Now, this is a huge range, but also we're targeting slightly above, right in the middle of all of that, if this 12 to 16 teams thing is actually accurate. If 12 to 16 teams are there, that'd be like taking a quarter of Al Mazrah out of play, which the Northwest was just basically all desert with minimal worthwhile POIs, so maybe not a bad play, but at the least, we'd also be taking half of that map out of play if you're kind of taking teams to scaling into consideration. Just about all while still being at least double the size of maps of Ashika and Vondel. So I feel like there's a middle ground portion to this, but it's kind of hard to envision the pacing at the moment without knowing a little bit more to the context here with this. As for designated DMZ maps, 4 maps plus a headquarters, I like the idea of. Like right up front, I think having more maps at launch is a good thing, offering the ability to dive deeper into the gameplay loop right from the gate. One of the big failures, I think, with DMZ at launch was that it didn't quite find its footing, which is something that happens to every game. Like, you're gonna find that audience and what people think works well as time goes by, but when you add the multiple levels to the quest lines, the dangers of other maps that are present, it just felt way more fleshed out and completed, something that you kind of have to take those learnings from 1.0 to then apply to 2.0 and perhaps that launch. So if we don't have to wait super long to be able to have more maps to cross quests and stuff like that, I think that'll be good. My only hope with this is that we don't have like a repeat of Building 21 scenario where they stealth drop things and it's like you have to figure out how to get into it yourself, and then they put the accessibility on a timer like it was only for weekends with Building 21, and that was just plain annoying and was a total PR disaster that first week or so that could have been entirely avoided. But yeah, so hopefully we don't see repeats of that. A headquarters, though, is, I think, a nice touch, just kind of expanding on the gameplay safe house type of feel. If it's anything like other headquarters for maps, I'm imagining you have some stashes, upgrade stations, trading networks, a firing range of some kind, and a few other smaller things, but I can't imagine that it's going to be much more than that. Now, as for your major and minor updates, they talk about this cadence of major and minor updates that is something right now I'm just not sure how to feel about just yet because, again, missing critical context, as we always do with leaks like this. But what classifies as a major or minor update? DMZ saw such a wide range of updates that I don't know if we can accurately pin down a comparison for what would be a small and a large update. Like the overhaul to the mission objectives section in Season 4 was basically a DMZ overhaul, offering new ways to unlock and expand things like your wallet, stash, ensured cooldown reductions, contraband stash expansions, and more. That was a genuine overhaul that I would definitely say is a major update, but does that define the kind of changes we'd see every other season, or is that a minor update by comparison to what's being planned? Do minor updates then just mean seasonal wipes or bi-seasonal wipes in mission progression? Do minor updates mean a new smaller map of some kind, like a Building 21? Do minor updates mean a new faction or a contract type, or expansion with new missions for each faction? We just don't know that right now. It can be something that sounds cool, but we wouldn't know for sure. Events occurring that are crucial to survival is something that really catches my interest though, but again, not nearly enough information. I think that there's a way that this could be something that sounds and plays cool, that would add a different flair to the gameplay loop instead of just surviving and extracting. Like, my mind immediately thought of, let's say, an event that's a 1 in 500 chance or something, that your DMZ lobby has an active nuke that the whole lobby is alerted to, where if it goes off, it kills everybody. But if you defuse it, you get high tier rewards. So this would then draw everyone to, or most of the players around that sort of diffuse state where you're all fighting over this nuke that if nobody gets it, kills everybody. So somebody's going to have to go do it. But by bringing that many people together, it's going to encourage firefights. It's going to encourage more PvP. That would force a ton of PvP in a small specific area and change the dynamic of a standard raid drastically. But you also could maybe take the chance that, okay, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I still just want to do my missions. Somebody will take care of it. But on the off chance they don't, there is still that ever-present risk that you don't survive. So that'll be interesting, but I don't know if that's like something that they'll actually do like that. That's just off the top of my head, a kind of pitch for something like that. The two modes of PvPvE versus PvE, having both as options, this is something that I do think is really advantageous as a way to go about this. Extraction modes are super interesting in the fact that there's a new loop for a lot of players, and every run will be different every single time. But where a lot of players are turned off are either their interest in or lack of interest in PvP combat. Some people love the PvPvE elements versus some people just want to go in and play against bots and get their missions done and everything like that. Not many games in the genre offer up the ability to do both. They're usually one or the other, and those that do both are usually pretty small scale. If I'm not mistaken, Tarkov does with their premium memberships. I don't follow Tarkov a whole ton, full transparency. but I do believe there's like a paid opportunity or something to have both available, but most games, just for the sake of discussion, don't offer both. So I think this is a way that can cater to both types of player interests and shines a spotlight as a result to the approachability of a DMZ 2.0. And then finally, DMZ's forked Warzone and multiplayer handling is something that I think is perhaps the most interesting part that has persisted over the course of these leaks. This isn't the first time we've heard about this, and it's definitely probably not going to be the last. A potential third mode associated with the either paid offering or free-to-play, I've heard both back and forth, and frankly, that's something that has a lot of time to materialize still. Pricing can be changed on a whim. Warzone was meant to be a Modern Warfare 2019 exclusive battle royale before they made that free-to-play like the week of launch, if I'm not mistaken. But a potential mode that could either be in the same package as Modern Warfare 4 MP and yet still have an entirely different mechanic set is something that's interesting. Something likely more akin to DMZ in the Modern Warfare 2 mechanics, slower, more methodical, and tactical adjacent than the Omni movement and faster presence stuff we have now. That's kind of fascinating to me, but I'm also all on board for that. Give the audiences and their respective playstyles what they want, where DMZ players, from what I remember, had no issues with the mechanics of DMZ. And personally speaking, I do think that it was a perfect fit for DMZ. My gripes came into the way of whenever that dictated the flow and the mechanics of multiplayer and Warzone as a result. Like, it was perfect for how you wanted to play this, a bit more tactical, a bit more thought out and methodical in your gameplay, but it just didn't apply well to the other areas, again, personally speaking. So I'm all for if that's actually the case. Now, I guess the final question here comes down to something that I'm sure will be a discussion that some people have is, why does everything need an extraction now? This is part of the discussion that's super interesting to me because on one hand, I'm also kind of thinking the same. It kind of feels like the new craze of Battle Royale was 5 to 10 years ago or so, like that, were starting to pop up everywhere in every single game, but also with a lesser high peak as we've seen go with Battle Royale. Like, I think that extraction is still a lot more niche than something more mainstream like a Battle Royale. But on the other hand, things like Bungie's Marathon upcoming, Arc Raiders, these are like the real first AAA stabs at the genre, I'd say, that are like now more so popularized. Like, I know The Division had its take, Hunt Showdown, Delta Force kinda, or all other larger scale games in the genre, and a few others, but most of the extraction genre is still in its infancy with smaller and smaller teams developing games, oftentimes being indie titles. Obviously, Tarkov has been that one that stood the test of time over all the others, but we're at the point where enough time has passed that big money studios and publishers now see that this is a formula that can work and that people are interested in, and by the time this launches, they can put the full weight of everything behind developing their own. I've said it for years, and I know it's a topic that extraction purists don't necessarily like, but I think DMZ was a great entry-level extraction shooter, dumbed down to the point where it was COD, and let's be honest, that's not a very hard game to get into, where it's something that, again, the hardcore players aren't too fond of, but it's also way more approachable than a Tarkov or a Gray Zone or another hardcore extraction shooter out there like that. That there's a million different things to learn with instant TTKs where you lose everything on a whim. It's how you get more people interested in the genre so they can move on to those harder core versions of the game, the more in-depth things. Bring them in with something that's approachable first and foremost, and for that, that's why I appreciate DMZ and am glad to hear that it's not necessarily something that's just been abandoned after Modern Warfare 2, especially when you consider the entire genetic makeup of that title was essentially built around the fundamentals for DMZ, slower, more methodical gameplay movement, tempo and all, compared to recent years, which for everyone, they were hoping to get a Modern Warfare 2019 2.0, which obviously that's a big system shock for what we got. So I like hearing that we're going to see this again, and in a way that seems to be learning from Modern Warfare 2's mistakes. But anyways, that's where we're going to wrap it up. Kind of gone off on a little tangent here. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys looking forward to seeing DMZ 2.0 in 2026? Still a long ways off, so of course this is all just speculation and discussion at this point, but hey, I'm on board for it if it is something that comes back. I really did enjoy DMZ and would love to see this fleshed out in a larger offering. But for now, let me know your thoughts. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more DMZ, Black Ops 6, COD, and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.